My wife said nothing when her son called me a loser. Later, I discovered she'd opened credit in my name, so I shut everything down. Have you ever loved someone so much that you let them take pieces of you, little by little, until you barely recognized yourself? For me, that silence, that quiet willingness to keep the peace, almost cost me everything. And it all came to a head the day my own stepson, red-faced and screaming, declared I'd ruined his life in front of an entire church fellowship hall. But the real twist? I was holding the evidence that proved he ruined his own. My name's Frank Delaney. I'm 59, born and raised in Fort Wayne, Indiana. South Side. My whole life, I've been a man who works with his hands, hauling freight for UPS, early mornings, night runs. The kind of work that leaves your hands dry and cracked, no matter how much lotion you slather on. I'm not flashy. Never have been. I like paying my bills on time, a clean truck, black coffee. When a neighbor's sump pump fails, or someone needs a ride at 3:15 a.m., I'm the guy who shows up. And for a long, long time, that was enough. That day in the fellowship hall, the air hung heavy with the smell of stale coffee and crockpot chili. Plastic forks, paper plates, a sticky puddle of fruit punch near the coat rack. Outside, it was a biting February. Indiana winter, the kind of cold that chills you to the bone, makes you feel older than you are. Inside, old ceiling fans whirred faintly. And there he was, Tyler Vaughn, my 27-year-old stepson, about 12 feet away. Shoulders squared, jaw tight, looking like he wanted to fight. He's slender, with good hair and teeth. The kind of kid who'd heard potential his whole life and treated it like a steady paycheck. You don't get to act like you're the victim, he yelled, loud enough for everyone to hear. You took everything. I didn't take anything, I replied, my voice calm, level. I was shocked by its steadiness. It wasn't shaking, it wasn't upset. Just flat. My car, my phone, my apartment, he spat. I stopped spending money on things I couldn't afford, I finished for him. Tyler turned to my wife, Elaine Parker, his mother, desperate for her to intervene. She stood by the coffee maker, hands wrapped around a foam cup like it was the only solid thing in her world. She stayed silent. She'd been doing that a lot lately. My story didn't start that afternoon, not really. That was just the end of a long, silent road. To understand why a room full of churchgoers went silent over a manila folder, you need to come back with me to a dinner table, where I learned the true cost of my quiet. It was a Friday night, the road still humming, the kind of evening that makes Fort Wayne feel half asleep. Elaine texted me after my run, Texas Roadhouse. 6:45, Tyler will be there. Please don't start anything. Don't start anything. That line twisted my stomach. I hadn't started anything in years. I'd been absorbing things. For years. Texas Roadhouse sat on a strip of stores, identical to 1,000 others across the Midwest. A big parking lot, bright lights, the aroma of fried food spilling into the chilly air. The wind whipped sideways across the lot, chilling me beneath my collar as I went inside. It was warm and loud in there. Laughter, servers bustling with baskets of rolls, country music, the kind of place where you're supposed to relax. Elaine was already there, in her gray fleece, hair pulled back, the lines around her eyes that I once found endearing. Tyler sat opposite her, expensive sneakers, new hoodie, tapping his phone like the world owed him speed. He barely looked up when I slid into the booth. Hey, I said. Hey, Elaine replied, like she was checking a box. Tyler just grinned at his phone, scrolling. The server brought menus. I didn't need one. Sirloin, baked potato, side salad. Every time. Elaine ordered chicken critters. Tyler got something with extra bacon. Small talk started. Elaine asked about my route near Warsaw. Roads were slippery, I said. Tyler talked about some big online opportunity with a friend. Then Elaine asked, softly, did you hear from your dad this week, honey? Tyler visibly relaxed, as if he'd been waiting for it. Yeah, he said, loud enough for the next table. Dad's doing great. Got a new lease recently. Nice place. New girlfriend, too. He looked at me, a challenge in his eyes, like he had a secret he couldn't wait to unleash. Elaine's gaze flickered to me, then dropped to her water glass. Tyler leaned in. You know what Dad said? He said he can't believe Mom settled. The heat crawled up my neck. Not anger, not yet. It was shame. Like someone poured warm soda down my back. Tyler, Elaine mumbled. He waved her off. No, I mean it. Come on, Mom. You act like this is some nice little family. My dad isn't a loser, but you are. The word loser hung in the air. For a moment, all I could hear was a fork scraping a plate, ice clinking, a country song in the background. Life went on. I looked at Elaine. I held my breath. She didn't even lift her head. Just stared at her water glass like it held instructions. Her silence, right then, hit harder than Tyler's words. I could have lost it. I could have gotten up and walked out. I could have said something scathing. But I didn't. I'd been the man who kept the peace for years, the one who absorbed the sharp edges so everyone else could keep smiling. So I did what I always did. I said nothing. I picked up my menu, like I needed it. Breathed through my nose. Don't make a scene, I told myself. Don't give them an excuse to make you the bad guy. Tyler grinned, a triumphant smirk. Elaine finally whispered, let's just eat. I nodded, as if I hadn't just been metaphorically gut-punched in a booth under neon beer signs. But something shifted inside me. It felt less like a dramatic explosion and more like a bolt, deep within, quietly loosening. Something that had been holding everything together was beginning to give. When we left, the wind hit us again in the parking lot. Elaine hurried ahead, arms crossed. Tyler went to his car, a shiny, late-model vehicle he treated like a trophy. My credit was so bad, I'd signed for that car. I insured it. I'd watched him drive it like it didn't matter if it lived or died. He didn't even say goodnight. Just got in and drove off, as if the rules didn't apply to him. Elaine got into my truck. My old Silverado. Sturdy, clean, uncomplicated. That's how I kept it. The cab smelled faintly of motor oil and coffee. My life, in a nutshell. We drove in silence for a few miles, the heater blowing warm air over my hands on the wheel. He's been through a lot, Elaine said finally. I exhaled. I have too. She didn't respond. At a red light, I glanced at her. Do you think what he said was okay? Her jaw stiffened. She stared straight ahead. Please, Frank. I'm tired. I don't want to fight. Her gift, her silence. Always silent when it mattered. I faced the road again. The light changed. We drove on. At home, I went into the kitchen. On the counter, a small pile of mail. A credit card offer, an electric bill, grocery coupons. Nothing dramatic. But it felt like betrayal. Without another word, Elaine went into the bedroom. The door clicked shut. I stood alone in the kitchen, the hum of the refrigerator, the faint buzz of the TV in the living room, a meteorologist talking wind chill. A constant, almost calming sound. And in that steady hum, I finally admitted what I'd been avoiding for years. It was more than just contempt. They were using me. Tyler didn't call me a loser out of nowhere. He knew I'd take it. So he said it. He knew I'd keep covering his expenses, keeping his life comfortable, because every time he crossed a line, he'd seen his mother look away. He'd learned there were no consequences. Not real ones. That night, after Elaine was asleep, I opened the small desk drawer by the hall. The vital papers drawer. It had been months since I'd touched it. Titles, insurance cards, receipts I couldn't discard because I still hoped someone might one day say, wow, Frank, you really did a lot. I pulled out the folder with Tyler Vaughn's car documents. My name. My loan signature. My accountability. I sat at the kitchen table with that folder. The house was silent. My hands weren't trembling. They were steady. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel like a loser. I felt like a man who was finally, completely, finished. The next morning, I woke before my alarm. Not unusual for a guy used to night runs. But this time, I didn't check my phone for missed calls or texts from Tyler. Instead, I lay there and listened to the house. The deep rumble of the furnace. A pickup truck starting somewhere down the block. Even Elaine's breathing beside me, facing the wall. Silently, I got up. Cold floor under my feet. Poured my black coffee, sat at the table where I'd left Tyler's documents. In the daylight, everything was sharper. Less dramatic. More honest. I wasn't upset. That shocked me. I felt a sense of clarity, like after a long drive when the exit sign you've been waiting for finally appears. I opened the manila folder again. My name. The car title. Simple. Uncomplicated. Insurance declarations page, my address, my policy, my number. Phone plan, family account, 6 lines, all mine, all paid by me. Storage unit contract, my signature, my checking account. Apartment lease amendment, me designated as co-signer, the responsible party. It wasn't one big event. It was death by 1,000 tiny withdrawals, every single month. I thought back over the years. The excuses always seemed plausible then. Just until he can get back on his feet. Until his credit improves. Just until things calm down. They never did. Around 9:30, I put on a jacket and drove to the VFW. The parking lot was less than half full, dirty snow piled along the edges. Inside, it smelled of floor cleaner and old coffee. The bartender nodded. I waved him off and sat at a table by the window. A few minutes later, Walt Harrigan walked in. Slow but steady. Hands like cinder blocks. White hair, close cropped. Retired Teamster. He was a union rep when I first met him, the kind of man who could clear a room just by clearing his throat. He lowered himself into the chair across from me. You look like hell, he said. I feel better than I look, I replied. He raised an eyebrow. That's a new one. I told him everything. About dinner, the word loser, about Elaine staring into her water glass like it was safer than looking at me. Walt listened, fingers wrapped around his mug, saying nothing. When I finished, he gave a single nod. You know why it hurt so much? I half joked. Because it was true. No, he said. He could say it because you helped teach him. That hit hard. I looked at my hands. I don't want to blow anything up. Walt leaned back. You're not talking about blowing anything up, Frank Delaney. You're talking about leaving the blast zone. I let out a breath. He's going to fall hard if I stop paying for things. Walt looked straight into my eyes. You're not punishing him. You're stopping the cover-up. And refusing to make someone comfortable when they disrespect you, that's not being harsh. I took a moment to process that. What about Elaine? I asked. Walt shrugged. She's got to decide if her silence is loyalty or cowardice. His words stuck with me on the drive home, stopping the cover-up. That was it. It felt like I'd been smoothing over visible cracks for years. I didn't do anything dramatic that day. No impulsive phone calls. Just went to the grocery store like every other Saturday, loaded up the truck, folded laundry. Elaine watched me intently, as if she sensed a shift but was afraid to ask. You've been quiet, she said that evening. It almost made me laugh. Quiet? That's rich. I've been thinking, I said. She nodded. About last night? About a lot of nights, I replied. About what I am, and am not, responsible for. Her jaw clenched. Please don't make things harder, Frank. Tyler's having a hard enough time. I looked at her, really looked. I am too. Her mouth opened, then closed. Silence again. I went to bed early. Sleep didn't come easily. Sunday morning, I sat back at the kitchen table, a legal pad in front of me. I started jotting things down. A checklist, not a hit list. Dates, account numbers, notice requirements, signature requirements. Decisions that were mine. I wasn't angry. I was meticulous. I texted Tyler once. Just once. Hey, starting next month, I won't be paying for the phone plan or auto insurance. I'll let you know the exact date so you can make the switch. Just a heads up, this isn't a fight. He took a while to reply. I sent another message, copying Elaine. I'm establishing some financial boundaries. I want you to understand, this isn't about power. It's about respect. That one stayed unread for hours. By nightfall, Tyler finally responded. Are you serious? Yes, I typed back. 3 dots appeared, vanished, reappeared. I guess I know where I stand, he sent. I waited for the usual twinge of guilt as I stared at the screen. It never came. Instead, a solid sensation in my chest. Not relief, but alignment. My actions were finally consistent with what I'd been absorbing for years. Elaine tried again that evening. You're overreacting, she said from the bedroom doorway. That wasn't his intention. I tied my boots without looking up. He said what he meant to say. She folded her arms. You're going to embarrass this family. I stood up. No. I'm done pretending. She watched me like I was a stranger. Maybe I was. The air was crisp and clear when I went for my nightly run. I inhaled deeply, then got in my truck. The cab light came on, then off. My phone buzzed as I turned onto the street. Tyler Vaughn. Elaine Parker won't forgive you if you do this. I read it once, then placed the phone face down in the cup holder. For the first time in years, I drove into the night unburdened by anyone else. I had a gut feeling the truth would become clear as soon as I stopped funding the illusion. It was a quiet, gray Monday morning. The kind of winter day where the sky can't make up its mind. After my run, I slept for a few hours. Woke up to Elaine moving around the house, cabinet doors opening and closing a bit too loudly. I stayed silent. She didn't either. By midday, I was back at the kitchen table with my legal pad. After sleeping on it, mentally reviewing it twice, it was time for the tedious, crucial part. This wasn't retaliation. It was protocol. First, the insurance company. The woman on the line knew my name. 22 years with them. She tapped her keys. Frank Delaney, how may I help you today? I need to remove a vehicle from my policy, I stated. Effective the next billing cycle. I'll also need written confirmation via email. No problem, she said. Just to be clear, the 2021 sedan? That's the one. She hesitated. My records show your stepson currently drives that car. I'll be notifying him, I said. All right, she replied, professionally. You're within your rights. Within your rights. It felt like a small hand on my shoulder. Next, the phone plan. Same thing. Dates, confirmations. No shouting. No speeches. I asked for the precise time service would end, so Tyler couldn't claim I caught him off guard. Then, the storage unit. I drove over myself, the wind slicing through my jacket. The manager was a young guy with tired eyes. I showed him the contract, my ID. I need to set up a supervised access window for the secondary user, I said. He nodded. And then I want the lock code changed. Happens a lot, he mumbled. I was always surprised by that. By mid-afternoon, I had half my list crossed off. I was exhausted, but not sick to my stomach, as I'd expected. It felt more like cleaning a garage all day. Dusty, tiring, but honest work. Around 4:40, Tyler finally called. "What the hell is this?" he yelled. "I just got an email from my insurance company. I promised to give notice," I said. "You're screwing me. I need the car for work." "As you're aware," I replied, "that part's no longer on me. You need insurance to drive it. This is your way of punishing me." I leaned back in my chair, looking at a scuff mark on the kitchen wall. "I'm doing this because I'm tired of paying for things that make me feel disrespected." Silence for a beat. Then a bitter, sharp laugh. "You're really picking this hill, wow." "No," I replied. "You made the decision to call me a loser." He swore, then hung up. I sat there for a while, phone still in hand, heart pounding more forcefully than I liked. This was the part I'd been dreading. The point where doubt tries to creep in. I almost called him back. Almost. Instead, I picked up the apartment lease. Last item on my list. This one took longer. I called the property management office. Explained that, per the terms of the contract, I, as a co-signer, had to withdraw. The woman explained the procedure, emailed me a form. "He'll have to requalify or provide a new guarantor," she said. "Until then, we'll send out a notice." "Comprehensive," I replied. I slid the printed email into the folder with the others. Elaine finally spoke that night. She stood in the doorway, arms folded. "You've really done it." "I'm doing it," I clarified. She shook her head. "Frank," he called me crying. I looked at her. Was what he said meant? She turned her head away. "You know how he gets anxious." "So do I," I said. "I just don't get away with it." "You're making him anxious," she retorted. I didn't raise my voice. "He's 27 years old." She looked at me as if she hadn't seen me before. Maybe she hadn't. Tyler's panic started to manifest that evening. A text first, "I don't have a ride, my boss says I'm going to be late again." Then another, "Storage says I have 3 days to get my stuff. Are you happy now?" I didn't respond. 3 days later, an unfamiliar number called. It was the apartment office. "Mr. Delaney," the woman said, "your stepson did not meet the requalification requirements. We've sent out a notice. Just keeping you updated." "Thanks," I replied. That same afternoon, I noticed Tyler's car parked crookedly in our driveway, a bright orange notice tucked under the wiper. No insurance. I wasn't arrogant when I saw it. I was just tired. "You didn't have to let it get this far," Elaine said softly later that evening, sitting on the edge of the bed. I switched off the light. "It came this far a long time ago. I just stopped acting like it hadn't." 9 days after that dinner, the consequences finally lined up. Tyler Vaughn's job was terminated. Just an attendance policy, no room for excuses. Nothing dramatic. By morning, his car had been legally towed, left on the street without insurance. His phone died. The storage unit was locked. No job, no car, no place to live. That morning, watching steam rise from my coffee at the kitchen sink, I felt a twist in my stomach. Not contentment, not regret. Accountability. Then the mail arrived. Among the flyers and bills was a certified envelope bearing my name and a bank logo. I signed for it, placed it on the table, and just stared. It had been years since I'd opened a new account. I broke the seal and read the first line, "We're contacting you because of some recent activity on your account." My chest went cold. I had an uneasy feeling I was about to find out what else Tyler Vaughn had lost that week. And that it wasn't just him using my name as if it were his own. I took a while to open that envelope. My fingers rested on the edge of the paper as if it might bite me. Elaine was taking a shower. The house hummed as usual. Furnace, refrigerator. The faint tick of the wall clock. Common noises, the ones that usually signal everything is fine. I used my thumb to tear a hole, pulled out the letter. From our credit union. Professional, courteous. Language that subtly said, everything's fine, while acting like nothing is. They were contacting me about recent activity on an account registered in my name. A store credit line, established 5 months ago. Maxed out. Late payments. I sat down. This time, I read it slower. The dates coincided with my travel nights. Elaine had said she was just tired at night. Tyler had been working things out. I looked at the fine print. My address, phone number, social security number. But not my signature. Finally, my hands started to shake. Elaine walked into the kitchen, towel wrapped around her hair. She saw my face and stopped. "What's the matter?" she inquired. I slid the letter across the table. She picked it up, glanced at it, then gave me a look like I'd just accused her of something horrible. "What's this?" I asked. With a sigh, she put the letter down. "You make assumptions, Frank." "Elaine, whose store card is this?" She paused. Even a split second. From years of hauling freight, I'd mastered the art of recognizing a critical pause. "It's nothing," she stated. "Tyler needed help. Just something to get him through." She crossed her arms. "You call me by name. You always help him." I got to my feet. My voice was strong, but my knees felt weak. Lying isn't helping. Opening accounts behind my back isn't helping. She turned to face the floor. "I thought you wouldn't mind." That sentence, no matter how much Tyler had insulted me, hit harder. She said it again, softer. "I didn't think you'd mind." As if that made it better. "You never refuse." Something broke inside me then. A crisp snap. "No noise, no drama. That's all," I said. I got that by remaining silent. Finally, she looked directly into my eyes. "Please don't exaggerate this, Frank." One sharp, ugly laugh escaped my mouth. "You open credit in my name." "It's just a card," she stated. "We can settle it." "We." That word again. I grabbed my keys. "I'm heading out." "Where?" "To make sure there aren't any more surprises," I said. With my hands gripping the wheel, I drove to the credit union. The sky was low, white, heavy. Inside, it smelled of printer ink and carpet cleaner. Marian Cole, an officer who looked about my age, didn't flinch when I told her what I'd discovered. She frowned, pulled up my file. "There are several," she remarked softly. My stomach dropped. 2 store cards and 1 short-term installment loan, all opened within 8 months, all linked to my information. None authorized by me. "I believe you," she said. "We see this a lot." She guided me through the steps: fraud affidavit, credit freeze paperwork. Just careful, slow work to stop the bleeding. Nothing spectacular. Elaine was waiting when I arrived home. "Are you truly acting this way?" Eyes wide, accusing. "Accusing it of fraud?" "I'm stopping it," I declared. "And I'm calling it what it is." Her voice broke. "You will destroy him. You will destroy him. You will destroy him." I shook my head. "You've already shown him that it's acceptable." I slept on the couch that night. Not because she asked. Because I needed time to reflect without someone telling me about my own life. The next day, I discovered the messages. I wasn't prying. A notification appeared on her tablet, glowing on the coffee table. My name in the preview. "Frank will take care of it. He does it every time." Sent months ago, from Tyler Vaughn to Elaine Parker. At first, I didn't read any more. I felt as if I'd been struck deep inside, sitting there with the glowing tablet. It got worse when I scrolled. "Don't worry about the rent this month. Just write it under Frank's name on the card. He detests conflict. He refuses to speak." I carefully put the tablet down. I was sitting at the table when Elaine arrived home from work. The manila folder was open in front of me. The printed messages, the statements, the letters from the credit union. She paused in the doorway. "You read my messages." "You used my name," I said. The gap between us was wider than the room itself. "I was defending my son," she claimed. "And who was keeping me safe?" I inquired. She didn't respond. I realized then that there was no peaceful way out of this. What had been done in silence could not be undone by swallowing it. I didn't shout. I made no threats. I just told her exactly what was going to happen. "I'm separating our finances," I said. "I'm freezing my credit. I'm documenting everything, and I'm done covering for Tyler Vaughn." Her complexion turned pale. "You're going to humiliate us." I shook my head. "I'm not humiliating anyone. I'm done lying." She sank into a chair. "You're choosing this over your family." I picked up the folder and closed it. "No. I'm choosing myself." For the first time that night, I didn't feel strong. I felt empty, like a house after a storm, still standing, but stripped down to the studs. But I also felt something else, a certainty I hadn't felt in years. The next step wouldn't be private. And the truth, once it had room to breathe, was going to speak for itself. The fellowship hall at St. Mark's sat behind the brick church like it always had. Low ceilings, beige walls, folding tables lined up in rows. On Sundays like this, it filled with crockpots, paper plates, and people who'd known each other long enough to stop pretending. It was the kind of place where the truth didn't echo. It just settled. Elaine insisted we go. Said it would look bad if we didn't. A potluck fundraiser for roof repairs. Everyone from her side of the family would be there. Neighbors, 2 people from work. People who smiled, nodded, and thought they knew us. I agreed to go because I knew something she didn't. I wasn't afraid of how things would look anymore. The hall smelled of chili and baked ham. Someone had brought deviled eggs. Coffee brewed in big metal urns that hissed softly. The hum of conversation filled the room, broken now and then by laughter. Tyler was already there when we walked in. He stood near the long food table, shoulders tight, jaw set, talking fast to anyone who would listen. I could hear my name float through the air, carried on the edge of accusation. "That man took everything," he said. "Left me with nothing, no warning. Just pulled the rug out." People nodded. Some looked uncomfortable. A few glanced my way. Elaine stayed close, her hand hovering near my arm like she might grab it if I bolted. Or if I spoke. Tyler saw us, and his face lit up, not with relief, but with anger sharpened by an audience. "There he is," he said, loud. "Mr. Responsible." The room quieted without anyone meaning it to. That's how it happens in small places. People stop chewing. Forks stop clinking. They wait. "You want to explain to everyone why you ruined my life?" Tyler demanded. I didn't answer right away. I just set the manila folder down on the nearest table. Plain. No labels, no drama. "I didn't ruin anything," I said. "But if you want to talk about it, we can." Tyler laughed, bitter. "Oh, now you want to talk?" "Yes," I replied. "Now." He threw his hands out. He took my car, my phone, got me kicked out of my apartment. I lost my job because of him. I nodded once. "You lost your job because you didn't show up on time." That got a few murmurs. Elaine shifted beside me. "Frank." I held up a hand, not to stop her, but to steady myself. I opened the folder. Inside were copies. Clean, neat. The kind of paperwork no one argues with for long. I slid the first page forward, facing the table. This is the car title. My name. Then another. Insurance policy. Also mine. Another. Phone plan. I paid it every month. Tyler's face reddened. "You're twisting it." I kept my voice even. "This is the storage contract. My signature." I'm self. Someone near the back cleared their throat. "And this," I said, placing the last set of papers down, "is the lease addendum I co-signed, because your credit couldn't." Tyler's voice cracked. "So what? You helped me. You don't get to yank it all away." I looked at him, then really looked. Not the angry kid, but the scared one underneath. "I didn't yank anything," I said. "I gave notice. I followed the contracts. I stopped paying for things that weren't mine to carry." "That's a lie," he shouted. "You did it to hurt me." I took a breath. "I did it because you stood across a dinner table and called me a loser. And your mother said nothing." Every eye in the room slid to Elaine. She froze for a moment. I almost felt sorry for her. Nearly. Tyler spun toward her. "Mom. Mom." She opened her mouth, then closed it. The same silence she'd given me at Texas Roadhouse. That silence spoke louder than anything I could have said. From the side of the room, Grant Holden, Tyler's father, let out a short laugh. "This is ridiculous," he said. "Family business shouldn't be aired like this." I turned to him. "Then maybe family business shouldn't involve opening credit accounts in my name." That did it. The room fell silent. Elaine's head snapped up. "Frank." I slid one more document forward. "This is a store credit account opened without my authorization. And this is another. And a short-term loan. All tied to my information." Tyler stared at the papers like they might burst into flames. Grant Holden took a step back. "I don't want any part of that," he muttered. Elaine's voice shook. "You didn't have to bring this here." I gave her a look. "You brought it here the day you chose silence over truth." Tyler slammed his fist on the table. "You ruined everything." I didn't raise my voice. I didn't move closer. "I didn't take anything from you," I said. "I stopped pretending it was okay to be disrespected. That's all." The hum of the ceiling fans filled the space. Someone's coffee cup rattled as it was set down too hard. No one clapped. No one cheered. They just saw him. Elaine sank into a chair, like her legs had given out. Tyler stood there, breathing hard, his story unraveling in front of people he'd wanted sympathy from. I closed the folder and picked it up. "I'm done," I said. "I won't argue about this anymore." I walked out into the cold. The winter air hit my face, sharp and clean. My breath fogged in front of me. For the first time in weeks, my shoulders dropped. I didn't feel victorious. I felt finished. Behind me, the door opened. Footsteps hurried. "Frank," Elaine said, her voice cracked. "Wait." I turned. She looked smaller out there. Older. "You didn't have to do it like that," she whispered. I met her eyes. I did. Because quiet didn't work. Her phone buzzed in her hand. She glanced down at the screen, panic flaring across her face. "It's Tyler," she said. "He's got nowhere to go." I nodded once. "I know." As I walked to my truck, my phone buzzed too. An incoming call. Elaine Parker. I didn't answer right away. I stood by my truck in the church parking lot, cold seeping through the soles of my boots, listening to the phone buzz itself quiet in my hand. The night had dropped fast. Indiana winter doing what it does best, turning breath into fog and thoughts into something sharp. When I finally answered, I didn't say hello. "Frank," Elaine said, her voice thin, stretched tight with panic. "You have to come back. He's losing it. He says he's got nowhere to go." I leaned against the side of the Silverado and looked up at the fellowship hall windows, glowing yellow against the dark. People were still inside, still talking, still processing. "I'm not coming back inside," I said. "You can't just leave him like this," she cried. "He's your family. He's your family." I closed my eyes for a moment. The word family used to be something that kept me quiet. Tonight, it meant something else. "I'm not leaving him," I said. "I'm just not rescuing him." She sucked in a breath. "What does that even mean?" "It means I'll do what's reasonable," I said. "I'll call a motel and pay for 2 nights. I'll give him the number for a shelter downtown that helps young men get back on their feet. I'll even drive him there if he wants. But I'm not opening my wallet again. Not like before." There was silence on the line. Real silence. Not the kind she used to hide behind. "He needs you," she said finally. I opened the truck door and sat down, the familiar smell of coffee and oil grounding me. "No," I said gently. "He needs to learn how to stand without leaning on someone he doesn't respect." Her voice broke. "And what about me?" I thought about that. About the years of meals eaten in quiet, of checks written without thanks. Of swallowing words to keep the peace. "I need honesty," I said. "I need to know I'm not being used. And right now, I don't have that with you." She started to cry. Not loud, just enough to let me hear it. "I never meant for it to go this far," she said. "I know," I said. "And I meant it. But it did." We hung up a minute later. No promises, no shouting. Just the truth. Finally said out loud. I drove home. Slow. Heater humming, radio low. The roads were mostly empty. Fort Wayne always feels smaller at night, like the town is holding its breath. When I pulled into the driveway, the house looked the same as it always had. Porch light on, curtains drawn. But when I stepped inside, it didn't feel like mine anymore. Not the way it should. I packed a duffel bag. Nothing dramatic. Jeans, work shirts, toiletries. The things you need when you're done pretending a place fits. I left Elaine a note on the counter. Short, clear, no blame. "I'm staying elsewhere for a while. I need space to think. We'll talk when we're both ready to tell the truth." I drove east, past streets I'd driven 1,000 times, until the houses thinned out and the river came into view. A small rental sat near the St. Joseph River. Old, narrow. Nothing fancy, but it was quiet. The landlord handed me a key and didn't ask questions. That first night, I sat on the edge of the bed and listened to the place settle. No TV noise, no footsteps, no phone buzzing with someone else's emergency. The next morning, I woke to sunlight coming through thin curtains. I made coffee in a chipped mug I'd picked up at a thrift store down the road. I took it outside and sat on the small front step, steam rising into the cold air. The river moved slow and steady. It didn't care about arguments or paperwork or pride. It just kept going. For the first time in years, my chest felt light. I thought about Tyler Vaughn. Angry, scared, suddenly without a net. I hoped he'd figure it out. I really did. But I also knew that saving him again would only teach him the wrong lesson. I thought about Elaine Parker, about the silence she'd chosen, about the moment in the fellowship hall when it finally turned on her. And I thought about myself, about all the years I'd confused being quiet with being kind. Here's what I learned: silence can keep the peace, but it can also teach people how to take from you without consequence. Boundaries don't make you cruel. They make you honest. If you're listening to this and you've ever swallowed words to keep things calm, if you've ever paid the price for someone else's comfort, take a moment and ask yourself, who's protecting you? I really want to know what you think. Have you ever faced a moment where you had to choose yourself, even if it meant a painful confrontation? Tell me in the comments below.